we're gonna talk about.
Keep rolling.
We're gonna talk about the head gasket. All attention Civic SI. So with a lot of requests or questions on Instagram asking about the head gasket, I'm gonna make a video about it, outlining what to do if you have head gasket failure, or actually how to diagnose it as well, because it's kind of hard to tell if you have a head gasket problem. So we're gonna start by talking about what's done to my car, because stock cars generally don't blow head gaskets. So right now it's running on K-tuner on TSP stage 2 with PRL intake on race map intake, PRL catalyst downpipe, the engine intercooler because I got it for cheap. I got the PRL Flexo kit, obviously. What else? That's about all the performance mods I have. So yeah, it's like 30 degrees outside. So we got a coffee. It's kind of cold. I'm doing this for you guys. OnlyFans isn't paying out, so I gotta do this. Anyways, so let's talk about how can you tell you need a head gasket or the head gasket's failing. So on our cars, it's actually kind of hard to tell. For me, how I was able to tell I need a head gasket was I did a pull, and around like 5,000 to 6,000 RPM, my car is misfiring, and you will literally hear your car sputtering out the exhaust, and your car's gonna lose power, and your check engine light's gonna flash, but it's only gonna flash but not stay on, and that's telling you it's a misfire. That's what the misfire check engine light does. But you just shut the car off and then turn it back on, it's fine again. So it drives fine. So a lot of people just like, just skim over it and just be like, it's fine. But that's like the #1 symptom of a head gasket, is misfiring. But that by itself could also just mean you have bad injectors, which a lot of people do have problems with. So there are other symptoms you should look out for, and the other one is that I had was really bad fuel trims. So especially if you're just idling and sitting at lights. So I was sitting at like anywhere from like -10 to like -13, like during like the worst, when it was at its worst. It gets better when you're driving around, when you're on the highways. It gets closer to 0. So a lot of people just think that's, nothing to worry about, but that combined with misfiring at high RPMs under full throttle, that could be a head gasket. And the other thing is, you can tell there's some rough idling if you're sitting at the light, especially with like AC on. It's sometimes weird. You can see your revs go like jump around like that's been a consistent thing with people with head gasket issues. And for me also, if you have K-tuner or hub data, and if you look at your tuner view app, if you have the V1.2, or if you're on the V2 with the screen, if you look at your fuel trims, your short-term fuel trims, when you turn on and off the AC, you can actually see it fluctuate a lot. And the short-term fuel trims, it reached a maximum of plus or -25, so it could actually reach that maximum amount and then come back down when you turn on and off the AC. That's another little symptom that I've had, and then it's better now that it's fixed. Other than that, there's also really obvious ones, like my friend Michael, he's actually filming. On his old car, he had a car with the head gasket issue, and his car was actually straight up just shooting smoke out of the exhaust, white smoke out of the exhaust, and that's usually a universal sign that you have a head gasket issue. Not just on cold starts, but like just straight up shooting smoke out while you're idling, even when the car's warmed up. What else? What?
There's white smoke when it's full throttle as well.
Yes, and also under throttle, you can actually see white smoke coming out of your exhaust, and that's another symptom. So the reason why I'm telling you all these small symptoms that you have to observe separately, because if you suspect you have an issue like this, and say you take it to a shop or the dealership, Honda dealership, they're gonna if you tell them about your issues and misfiring whatever, they're gonna do a leak down and a compression test. And the funny thing about these cars is if you do those, it's your car's gonna be completely fine. You're gonna pass a compression test with perfect compression, and the leak down test, it's gonna be perfect. My friend Michael actually went to the Honda dealerships, actually 2 of them, and went to a racing shop as well in Houston. They all did the same tests, and they all came out just fine. And the dealership won't fix something unless they can diagnose it. So they can't help you unless you show them some kind of proof that your car's messed up. So, oh gosh, it's cold. So, and the only thing you have to do now is replace the head gasket. And I'm not telling you that you should do this by yourself.
It's Jason.
Oh gosh.
Oh God. One of his friends was.
So it got pretty cold outside, so we got another coffee, and then we're in the car now. So the reason our head gaskets not blow, but like most of them just kind of leak. So it's because the L15B7s in the tension Civics have a really weak OEM head bolt, and if you're running flex fuel especially, and this mostly happens on flex fuel with the TSV-H2 tunes or custom tune, whatever tune you're running on flex fuel, because ethanol, if you're running ethanol, there's a lot more increased cylinder pressure, and the OEM head bolts just can't hold all the extra pressure that's not designed for, and that actually causes your head to lift under wide open throttle, and that's when exhaust gases come out from your cylinder, from the bore, and burn your gaskets in between each cylinder, and that's where the coolant actually goes through these little pressurized little channels, and they'll leak out slowly into your combustion chamber. And when air and fuel mix and you add a little coolant in there, it's gonna misfire. So that's why we have these misfires when your head gaskets go. Not necessarily the head gasket's fault, but the OEM head bolts. So that's why, if you're gonna do the head gasket replacement by yourself or at a shop, because most of the time dealership are either not gonna do it or they're gonna charge you a lot for it, is if you're gonna do this by yourself, you want to replace the head bolts with the ARP head studs, and so this problem doesn't happen again. And that's really the only option out right now for this kind of stuff. So we're gonna talk about the parts we need. I'm not gonna do a step-by-step video or like your typical install videos, because obviously my car's already fixed and I can't do the video now. So I'm just gonna give you an outline of what you need to do, and some of the tips, I guess, from doing this myself. So if you're gonna do this by yourself, I don't recommend you do this by yourself. But if you don't want to pay a shop, or if you can't find a shop that's gonna do exactly what you need them to do, it can be done. I've done it. So what you need to do is download the service manual for our cars, and I'll include the link in the description. And it's basically everything you'll ever need to know how to do on your car. And all you need to do is whatever you need to do, whatever part you need to take off or put back on and install, just Control F, search it, and you'll find it in there. And so the parts we need, we're gonna need a new head gasket, because the one you blew is gonna be gone. And right now there's not really options out for aftermarket head gaskets for our cars. So you're gonna need just a Honda OEM head gasket for the L15B7s, and I'll include all the part numbers and the links in the description.
so you can find them there. So head gasket, and then the next is the ARP head studs, and there actually isn't an ARP head studs kit for our cars specifically. What you need is the ones from 1999 to 2005 Suzuki GSX 1300R bike. They'll work for our cars, except you'll need an extra washer on each stud for them to work, so you can actually torque them down properly. And I'll include the link for the extra washers. So that's one way to do it, the stack washers. But the other option is MAPerformace. They actually make an actual dedicated kit for our cars that includes these studs and their custom machine spacers that instead of the stack washers, they actually have custom machined a thicker washer that allows you to torque them down properly on our heads. But that kit's coming at about $350, so it's more than what you pay for just the studs by themselves, and they're custom made to order, so there's gonna be lead time, so you won't get it shipped next day like the ARP head studs by themselves. All right, and so to do this job, you don't need to take the whole engine out. I didn't do it, but it'll be easier if you can, if you have the car in a live, or you have tools at a shop or your house. But I did it without taking the engine out. I just took the head off. So just follow the steps on the service manual. I can't tell you step by step how to take the head off of the car, but there's a few things there's a few things I can tell you. Is just start with all the wiring, the harnesses, take all that stuff out, and the most important thing is label each wire and where they go with tape. That's what helped me out to figure out where everything went, because you're gonna have a million things down there and you don't want to forget where they go. So you gotta figure out the wiring harness, then take the valve cover off, and then figure out what bolts around it. You need to take the turbo, the inlet pipe, turbo, and your downpipe off, so that gives you space, because that's all attached to the head itself, and you don't want to take the head off with the turbo on it. Then after you get all that stuff out of the way, you gotta figure out how to take the timing chain cover off, and that, I think, is the hardest part of the whole thing, because there's so little space to work with, and if you don't know where the bolts are, that's gonna be kind of hard to do. So that's why you need to follow the service manual, and that requires you to actually remove the passenger side motor mount, the whole motor mount is assembly. And what I recommend is get a jack under the car and to hold the engine so it doesn't move too much. So once you get the timing chain cover off, you just figure out the timing chain, get that off, and after you get the timing chain off, that's when you can loosen up the head bolts and lift the head off. So that part you have to figure out. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just here to give you an outline what you need. So while you're down there, the thing I recommend you to replace is the timing chain tensioner, because that thing is gonna be a pain in the ass to re-tension it, if that's the right term, for when you put it back in. So that's something you should order while you're ordering your parts. That it's easier because when you order a new timing chain tensioner, it comes in the package that's already pre-loaded and tensioned up. So you just drop it in, and then it comes with the tool that holds it together. So it's just easier if you get the part. It's about $50 on HondaPartsNow.com. And I'll include the part number and link in the description. And the other thing I recommend you to replace, actually, I'm gonna show you. Let's walk around real quick. It's actually this black cover right here. If you can see what I'm pointing at, it's so that there's a cover. And it's actually called. Let's see. It's called the camshaft holder cover, and I recommend you to replace that cover because when you take the whole thing off, it's that little piece will get bent, and it's kind of impossible to bend it back to where it was completely straight. So it's gonna leak oil out of there, and that part is actually it's a really common part to leak oil out of for tensions, even if you're not replacing your head gasket. So that's something you can replace. Other than that, and also Hondabond. Get yourself a bottle of Hondabond. You can get it at the dealership for like $7-8, and that's the liquid gasket that you need to seal up that part we just talked about, the timing chain cover, and where it interfaces with the oil pan. And again, I don't recommend you to do this, but it's definitely possible. It is a tedious job, but if you can get a good reputable shop or even a Honda dealership to do this, you should. But I would still recommend not going with go with Honda, the dealership, because they're just going to replace your head gasket and they're going to put on the OEM hip bolts. And if you're going to be running the same mods, Flexio, Tune, whatever, do it again, it's just going to happen again. It's not a matter of like if, it's just when. And oh gosh, what else?
Something to add. Honda probably won't do a head gasket on a modified vehicle, because I know that the Honda dealership I went to, they said they would have to revert it to stock before they did anything. But I think the one here would have done it. So it's like, I guess it's based on the Honda dealership you go to. But that's why technicians are better, like just random technicians.
Yeah, and also this is not like a video to tell you not to mod your car. Of course you can, but with this platform you just have to know what you're getting yourself into. If you're gonna go quote unquote full bolt-ons and flexio tuned, you're gonna run into this issue if you're running a stock engine with this OEM head bolts, and if you go even higher power, you're gonna have to worry about your bottom end going out, and that's just a lot of money. So if you do plan to mod your car, you should have some money set aside and get ready for things like this to happen. And that's just like, I guess, the conclusion of this video.
Alright, just a few things to add before I end the video, because this is kind of important. So the symptoms I listed before by themselves, again, they're not an indication that you need to replace your head gasket, but a lot of them combined, that can mean you have a head gasket issue. But before you come to that conclusion to start tearing your car apart, make sure you check your spark plugs, your coil packs, and your injectors before that, in that order as well, because any one of those could also cause one of the symptoms, and you might just have to replace a spark plug, or your coil pack's gone bad. Something like that could be just a simple fix. And then another thing is have some good tools, because this is a pretty important job and you are literally tearing your car apart. One thing good to have is a good torque wrench that could allow you to torque down your head studs properly. Because at first I used my $30 torque wrench from AutoZone, and I torqued them down to the head stud specs of 60 pounds. And then we checked later with a snap-on wrench, and it was reading at about 20 pounds instead of the 60 that I wanted. So, and we redid that to make sure it was all good to go. But that's really important. You don't want your head studs to come loose after you put everything back together. The other tool I recommend you get or have, or you can borrow, is a good impact gun with a lot of torque, because you're going to need that to impact off your crank pulley.
and that also requires a special socket that's made for removing that pulley, and I'll include that in the description as well. And without that, it's, for me at least, it was impossible to get that crank pulley off since Honda torques them down really hard. And then lastly, this is just a video to give you guys all the information about the tension Civics and their head gasket issue. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of the questions on Instagram and everybody asks me about this, so I just want to have one video to get all the information out. With the L series engines, it's not a rare situation that people run into. There's definitely people out there other than myself that have this issue and have done this before, but it's not very well documented. There's not a lot of information out about it. So hopefully it helps you guys, and also all the people in the future buying SIs or use SIs that's going to run into this issue. I hope this video helps them out too, and I know there will be plenty more people running into this issue. And then that's all I have to say about this.
I mean, tensions just suck.
Yeah, it does.
Might as well just buy a Type R and a cord.
Honestly, yes, if you have the money, but fuck, dude.
Like an Accord 2-liter, 10-speed. I mean, if you're going for straight line speed.
LSD though.
No, I mean if you're going for straight line speed.
Alright, it's all trading our cars.
I really should have when I did this.
Yep, that's in with that.
Fuck, cord on coils with wheels?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Those
The
fucking
fucking bag.
the NKTS 10s or whatever those are with the circle.
Are
in
you
the
still fucking recording?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You're gonna put this in.
I like how we're not choking when we're not recording. We're just like
No, because you're talking to me.
Yeah.
It's just chill.
No, and like. All right. Things you shouldn't do.
Don't buy a Honda Civic.
Don't buy a Honda for your Honda Civic.
No Hondas around here. Just don't tune your car in general, or else it'll end up like this.
It's gotta go low, like Jace.